Assalamualaikum everyone. Welcome to the Cricketing Hour. England are back in the Ashes. They've chased down 250 against Australia at Headingley. It's 2-1 now going into Manchester. Bazball has triumphed finally over the Aussies. And let's break the chase down. Let's see how did England actually chase down 254 on day 4. Let's go right back to the start. At the start of the day, England needed 224 runs, Australia needed 10 wickets. And it was a simple question of which team would be able to chase down their respective target first. England in this case managed to triumph. And the man who actually set the chase up for them, the man who set the tone for the entire 4th innings was Zach Crawley. At the start of the innings, Mitchell Starc was breathing fire. England were 93 for 3. Mitchell Starc got a 5 which is an astounding achievement to be honest. But one man made sure that despite the Aussie onslaught, despite the continuous fall of wickets, there was always a consistent flow of runs. That's what Zach Crawley did. And this is in fact what embodies this Bazball mentality that England have. That even if wickets keep falling, you need to put pressure on the opposition. And that's what they did. They put pressure on Australia and they reaped the reward for it. Crawley, you may look at the scorecard, you may say, he only got 44 runs. What does that even make a difference? It does make a difference because when the other players are struggling, when Duckett can't lay bat on ball, to have a guy at the other end who's consistently hitting boundaries is going to make sure the Aussies are still under pressure. They can't dictate the terms of the game. However, the game didn't end with Zach Crawley. When Crawley got out, England still needed 150 or so runs, and that is where England's middle order completely bottled it. Had England lost this game by 20 runs, 30 runs, whatever, the only part of their team they'd have to blame would be that middle order. Stokes did nothing in the second innings, Bairstow did nothing, Root did nothing. Joe Root in fact got out to Pat Cummins in both innings, so if that suggests a technical flaw or an issue he's facing against Cummins bowling in particular, that's something England will need to look at before the Manchester test. However, I think you also need to give credit to Australia. Because Mitchell Starc, he had two things in his favour. Number 1 is in-swing, number 2 is pace. Pace, we already saw what Mark Wood did. On this Headingley pitch, you needed pace to get wickets. In-swing is Starc's speciality, it's his deadly weapon, it's how he got half his wickets, and that is what troubled England as well. And 171 for 6, at that point you could say the game is teetering on an edge. It can go either way, because England need 80 runs, Australia need 4 wickets. Had Australia gotten one more wicket at that time, one lucky edge, one good catch, I'd say they were on top and they could have won the game. In that situation, alongside Harry Brook, who we'll come to later, one man stood up. And that is Chris Woakes, the comeback man. Just think about being Chris Woakes, man. He's not selected, he's not in the side, in and out, last couple of years. And then he comes to the Ashes and plays a match-winning knock like this. And what Woakes had to do was, he didn't have to score the runs. He had Harry Brook for that. He just had to hang in there. He needed to have a strong mentality. He needed to make sure the bouncers of Australia, the Yorkers, the pace of Starc didn't unsettle him. And that's what he was able to do. He gave Brook support, which is all Brook needed. And they managed to put on a sizable partnership to take England home. From Australia's side, you can ask, could they have done anything different? I don't think so. And the reason for that is, they did produce a couple of wicket-taking chances against Chris Woakes. There were a few shots which hit the bat handle of Pat Cummins bowling, and they just missed the fielder or just landed in no man's land. A bit of bad luck for Australia, but that's cricket. Let's talk about Harry Brook now. Harry Brook played in a very enterprising way, and there's one trend that we've seen throughout this Headingley test match. That is that all the batsmen have failed. No batsman has done anything except the batsman who managed to go out and play aggressively. And this is something to a traditional cricket watcher doesn't make sense. Because you would say those batsmen are more likely to succeed who play themselves in, play traditionally, play conventionally, play with a conservative mindset. Rather, Mitchell Marsh, Ben Stokes, Zach Crawley, Harry Brook, the players who went after the bowling aggressively are the ones who managed to get the most runs. And that's exactly what Harry Brook did as well. 75 in the 4th innings under pressure. This is a proper coming-of-age test innings for Harry Brook. He's led his country home in an Ashes test match, and I think this will be an innings he'll remember for a long, long time. Of course, he'd have liked to see England to the end, couldn't do that eventually, but Mark Wood came, hit a few lusty blows, had a bit of luck with the Alex Carey dropped catch, and took England over the line with 3 wickets to spare. So, a pretty interesting Ashes test. But at the end of the day, it's the scoreline that matters. It's the scoreline that will be remembered. 2 Australia, 1 England, everything to play for in the coming 2 matches. So now let's move on to Manchester. Let's see what do the 2 teams need to change for the upcoming game. Let's talk a bit about England first, and a very interesting question posed to Pat Cummins actually in the press conference was that do England have the momentum now? He said no. Obviously it's his job to say no as the Australian captain. But I think Australia will be feeling the pressure now because England were really close in the first 2 tests. They've crossed the 9 in the 3rd test at Headingley. At Manchester, it could be a different tale altogether. From England, I think the big question mark is around Moeen Ali, who hasn't been contributing a great deal. He did get Smith and Labuschagne out in the 2nd innings, which is something. But the thing with Moeen Ali is they don't have any other spinner. So they just had to pick this random Moeen Ali out of retirement. I think they're going to stick with him. Ollie Pope, of course, is injured, so, well, he obviously can't come into the side. The only question I'd say is, Wokes and Wood, after this game, man, they're not getting out of the side anytime soon. Ollie Robinson has probably been their best bowler across the entire series. The question is between Broad and Anderson. While Broad has had a better series, I think they might just want to rotate their bowlers, so Anderson might get a chance in place of Stuart Broad. From Australia's side, I'm not really expecting any changes apart from Cam Green coming in from Mitchell Marsh. There is one radical thing Australia can do. That is keep Mitchell Marsh on the side. He's not an easy guy to drop. He's just gotten you a century. He's just been your best player in this entire test match. Are you really going to drop him? I think one option they have is bring in Cam Green, take out Todd Murphy, who literally gave them nothing across the 4 days of this test match. Todd Murphy, with all due respect to him, he is, after all, the 2nd spinner Australia have. He's good, no doubt. He's probably the 2nd best spinner in the entire country after Nathan Lyon. But I don't think he contributed a great deal at Headingley. I think maybe they could bring in Cam Green in place of Murphy, which weakens their spin, but it strengthens their batting lineup and it strengthens their pace bowling, which is their main strength. So I think it's something Australia will consider, but I do expect Murphy to keep his place because Manchester, we have seen previously the wicket does spin on day 4 and day 5. Apart from that, Australia, I think their top orders form is a concern. Again, Warner, Smith, Labuschagne, they haven't done much. Khwaja after the first test, I mean, he has had a bit of a lean patch in the last couple of test matches, but I do expect him to bounce back. I think we're in for a really interesting Manchester test. In this particular game at Headingley, we saw the toss had a great role to play. Let's see if it's going to be a similar tale at Manchester. But boy, can I not wait for what these final 2 matches have in store for us. The Ashes are live again. Australia had a chance to wrap it up at Headingley. They failed. England stuck. It's game on and everything to play for. That's all from the Cricketing Hour. Thanks for tuning in. Enough.